Welcome to the viewers and welcome to our candidates. This evening, we're hosting a District 7 candidate forum for the election coming up this November 3rd, 2020. It's happening. It's not going to stop. Our first forum was done in person. This forum, we're doing it as a live stream due to the coronavirus, as you all know. As you know, the current council member for 25 years is retiring. This is an open seat, and the community needs to hear from the candidates so we can make a choice. Who should we vote for? That is in the best interest of our community. Let's start the forum, ladies and gentlemen. Let me share with you the rules for tonight. Each candidate has 2-minute opening and closing statement. Each candidate will have a minute to answer each question. Time clock is located in the right top corner of your screens. Please begin with your open statement, starting with Mr. Jackson.
Hi, I'm Robert Jackson, and I am a high school graduate from Castlemont High School. I was born in Berkeley, lived in Oakland all my life, and I'll be 74, by the way. And Merritt College, Associate of Arts degree, Cal State Hayward, BA degree, and also the pastor of Axel Gospel Church for 36 years. And I'm, as my mayor loved to say, I'm Oakland grown. I'm running for this seat because I feel like I can do more being a city council person to help my community than I have been able to do as a pastor. So I'm looking forward to the run. Looking forward to winning.
Awesome. Ms. Cortez, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you. My name is Esmeralda Cortez Rosales. I am born and raised in Oakland, California, and in particular, Brickfield. And so I have been in Oakland my entire life. My father is a waste management, a driver pickup for your garbage all over Oakland. My mother is a teacher. My sister is a nurse who's out there right now in the field helping with the coronavirus. And I'm currently the West Coast Program Manager for Ignite National. I have my bachelor's from social work from the University of California, Berkeley. And for me, I believe that it's time that I am able to represent my community in the way that we should have been represented, frankly, for these past 24 years. I truly believe that Oakland, in particular District 7, has been left behind. We not only have the lowest people registered to vote, but we also have the lowest turnout. And so I want to be the representative that not only uplifts our voices, but really brings what we need to the entire district. And so my whole goal is that not only am I being your next city council member, but that I bring you all along with me because frankly, we have been left behind for too long. And so for me, my entire slogan for the campaign is La Lucha Sigue, which translates to the fight continues, because we truly need someone that's going to fight for us, be bold for us, and be progressive so that we have our needs met. And with that, I hope that you all vote for me on November 3rd with your first ranked choice voting.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson.
Doing. My name is Tyrone Stevenson, also known as Champ, the founder and executive director of the Scraper Bike team. I'm a second generation East Oakland resident, born and raised here, love it here. High school graduate, currently studying political science at Cal State East Bay. Right now, I'm developing a nonprofit organization and been working throughout the community for multiple years. I've been servicing East Oakland youth for going on 15 years. We've worked with numerous seniors and homeless folks throughout the city. Just going through more and learning more about city programs and city resources. We lack a lot of that. I've worked with excuse me, different departments of the city of Oakland previously to bring in to help steer the direction for the bike path and all of the repaving that's going on right now in East Oakland. We've also worked with the city of Oakland to really do a lot of transportation equality throughout East Oakland, and a lot of that is still in the process of being built out. Um, yeah, voting for me, you're voting for the next generation of youth. Again, I'm a second generation, and I'm looking to inspire other youth to be more inactive into the city and into politics.
Thank you. The next questions are sent via email, text, or call. What would you tell Oakland's new chief of police, Susan Menheimer, are the top 3 priorities for District 7? Mr. Jackson?
Well, I would first welcome her to Oakland, and then I would tell her that our top priorities are the homeless problems. We also have problems with illegal dumping. We also have problems with whether or not the Coliseum is going to be turned into a bunch of new housing, or whether it's going to continue to be a ballpark. And the cars parked on the street, that abandoned cars that can't seem to be towed, and some of the things that response 911 response time when people call in the police department, and how can she better improve those conditions.
Awesome. Ms. Cortez?
Yes, thank you. I would first off and say that we should stop criminalizing the homeless population in Oakland. I feel that a lot of our policies that are being enacted in our homeless community comes from the stem that we're seeing them as criminals, and I think we have to change our perspective and how we're viewing them. They're our community members, they're our brothers and sisters, they just happen to be unsheltered. So that's the first and top for me. The second part is that illegal dumping also should stop being criminalized. And I think the biggest thing that I see here when I would talk to the chief is that we should stray away from criminalizing our community, because that's what's been happening to East Oakland, especially knowing that we have the most Black and brown people in our community. That should be the perspective that we take on moving forward. So illegal dumping as the second one, and the third that will always be at the top of my heart would be violence. So I lost my brother Hernan Cortez when he was only 18 years old. He was murdered 3 minutes away from my house. And so for me, I know that that's not just my pain and my anger that came out of that, but I started to realize that this is my community's pain and anger, because I'm not the only one that has lost people to gun violence, and I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. And so to always remember that the safety of our young brothers and sisters is
Okay.
at the top of the list. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson?
These would definitely be public safety, and public safety regarding violence, criminalizing the homeless is definitely horrible. Just when they're being homeless and they get displaced, the police are out there, and there's other things that they could be doing that we can, justify for. Another thing would be is more enforcement of the streets, because just recently there was an accident and the cops rode past and there was no actions taken. And so just really finding, like, really talking to them about their response to to emergencies, via whether it's a police, whether it's on through their walkie talkie, or they see it out in person. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Angelica, would you ask the second question?
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hold
Question
on one
is,
second.
what do you think is the best use of the Oakland Coliseum property, and why? Mr. Jackson, can you answer my question, please?
Yes, I think the best use is to leave it as a ballpark, and allow the A's to continue to be there, and so it can continue to stabilize our East Oakland community. Because I have a feeling that if it moves downtown like they did in San Francisco, it's going to cause a real problem for District 7 and District 6, because I think they're going to build new housing in there, which is going to cause our housing that's around there to be overpriced and whatever. And the landlords are going to want to put out people to get more money for rents and things like that for that, just like we see San Francisco. It's exactly what I believe is going to happen. So I'm hoping that the A's stay at the Coliseum and develop everything around it and help our community in District 7.
Hello, Ms. Cortez. Can you please answer my question?
Yes, thank you. I am definitely on the stance that the Oakland Coliseum should continue to host the Oakland A's. I am a huge fan of the Oakland A's baseball, and so I truly believe that if the A's were to leave the current place that they're at, it's disinvesting in our community. Not only that, but where they're planning to move to in Jack London Square, there are many jobs from the ILWU. There are union jobs there that, if you were to talk to the ILWU, the union members themselves and those at the head, they also believe that not only will it displace people in District 7, but it'll also displace not only the jobs there, and it'll deindustrialize the city there. And so we'll probably see something like we saw in Detroit, where the jobs start to leave. So we're going to see a lot of negative impacts. And so with that, I'm also on the same page. Like I mentioned, the Oakland A's should stay where they're at right now, and then just focus on continuing to building the relationships with us in East Oakland.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson, do you mind answering my question, please?
Yes. Well, personally, I don't mind if the A's leave because it sounds like they already have their mind made up, and there's a lot of government, entities that's sold into this idea. So just looking realistically, once the A's leave, it would be a great idea to turn it into a community stadium, and to where we have ownership of what goes on. There's a community oversight of what activities take place. I'm thinking we can possibly keep the big stadium and build around it, build more condominiums and build more low income housing in those areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. The two next questions are from social media. Mr. Alexander, do we have any questions online?
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay. I have a question for you. How would you engage with the community on District 7 and encourage them to come and vote? As you mentioned it before, we have the lowest percentage of voters or registered voters in District 7. Mr. Jackson.
Yes. Well, I would work on trying to let the community know that we have been falling behind and we have been left behind as far as the city is concerned because we don't vote. And because we don't vote, it's like we don't take an interest in what's really going on, and they never get the information that we need out to East Oakland until it's too late to do anything about it. So I would like to be on the end of informing the community way before it's time to vote, so I can allow them an opportunity to get on board so we can fight those things we need to fight, and we can stand up for those things we need to stand up for, because I found out it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. And East Oakland, District 7 in particular, we're not at city council. We're not down when they're making all these
Thank you,
changes,
Mr.
when they're
Jackson.
making, like,
Thank you. Ms. Cortez?
Yes. So part of it is definitely educating our community that there's even a position called a city council member for the city of Oakland, and that there is an active, what was I going to say? An active, here, let me just backtrack. In order to even get people to go out and register to vote, they have to know what a city council member is, what their duties are, and what are they capable of fixing and changing in our community for our interest, and making that connection that the personal is political. A lot of people, like I said, personal example, have witnessed or seen or have had someone personally affected by gun violence, and teaching them that how is gun violence connected to politics. So that's the first step, educating them. The second step is then mobilizing them. During this time of coronavirus where we're in a shelter at home place, we're upping our social media game because that's the only place that we can really focus in right now. Once the shelter in place has been lifted, it's all about being out there in the community, engaging with organizations, nonprofits, and anyone that has a stake in District 7, and really bringing everyone together so that we can not only increase the number of people registered to vote, but also increase the turnout so that we no longer have to be that district that is the lowest of the low, but now we become the people that are fighting for what we need.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson?
Yeah, with all of the great points mentioned here, currently right now, what I'm doing is I'm working with a lot of community organizations to set up this big, huge community event that's going to take place on 90th. And so during that time, we would like to advocate and get people signed up. This is an opportunity where people from the neighborhood, from the community, can come to this big street, this big block party, and know and get more information on registrations and a lot of the local campaigns that's going on, within our district, within our region. And so all of that was going to take place in April. We was going to announce it. We're calling it the East Oakland Futures event, Futures Fest. And so we're working with countless, again, nonprofits and also with the city of Oakland as is, to get more funding and making this street event big. And again, a lot of that is to advocate for a lot of politics and letting people know that they do have a voice, and that if they do register and when they register, that they are in the best interest for the youth of East Oakland and the seniors and everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stevenson. We're now going to live resident questions. Mr. Alexander, who do we have online?
Jules Morton.
Mrs. Martin, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Go ahead with your question, please.
Good evening. My question is for all three candidates. Provided you were already a council member and you were given the opportunity to vote, would you have voted to allow the Grand Princess to dock in the Port Oakland?
Go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
It's kind of a hard call because personally, I would not have wanted it to dock there because of all of the coronavirus people that they know were on that ship. But our mayor has a strong P. It's called the strong P policy that we have, and the mayor has the opportunity to make those kind of decisions. And so I don't think city council has anything to say about it. So our own personal opinion about it is one thing, but the mayor, because of her strong position, which Jerry Brown brought in when he was mayor of the city, she has the power to do that. And so there's nothing much anybody could say about the decision she made.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Cortez?
Thank you, Jules, for that question. If the city council members would have had a vote in that say, I would have voted against it. The fact that it went from San Francisco and a city that has a lot more wealth than Oakland, to make that decision to not document San Francisco, but rather to document Oakland, feels like a huge injustice to me, and not only to me, but I believe to the rest of the community in Oakland. Once that ship did off in Oakland, everyone in Oakland was not only terrified of what that meant for our residents and our health, but really what that was going to be for us in the long run. And so if I were to have a vote in that day during that time, I of course would have voted against allowing the ship to dock in Oakland.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson?
Yeah, I'm having a real staticky on my end.
Sorry about
But
that.
yeah, but I would have voted against it, and I would have fought the mayor teeth and nail to avoid it. Because as we see, it was a convenient and quick idea because of where the Grand Princess was positioned. It was a convenient plan to bring it to Oakland, to the Port of Oakland. I would have blocked it because the simple fact, as we see today, future, looking at the future and looking what happened after the fact with the trash. Where's the trash going to be located? Is it going to go through our cities? Is who where, like what? Where's the patients going to go? We just found out that there's patients with coronavirus from the Princess crew at Oakland's Kaiser. Like, where was the justification? Where's the clarity, and who's going to be held accountable for these mishaps that goes on through our city? Oakland already has the highest homeless population rate. Our air quality is already the worst in almost the entire country. So why add in another health factor to help eliminate and kill us minorities, or us Oaklanders?
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Alexander, do we have another resident question?
Well, we do have one more, and we have, hold on just a minute. Miss Tania Mitchell.
Hold on. Hello. I want to ask the candidates, what do you feel are the solutions for homeless encampments?
Mr. Jackson, would you like to go first?
Well, I noticed the Paradise fire, the fire up at Paradise, and how they dealt with 15,000 homeless people whose houses burned down in that fire. And I saw that they were able to organize that, put those people in a secure type of setting, even though it was temporary, with showers and bathrooms and everything, and then food and everything to supply them. I said, well, if you could do it at Paradise, why couldn't we do the same thing in Oakland? So I know there's solutions to the homeless situation if we would just do it. I don't know why there's an apprehension about not doing it, because we could easily duplicate or replicate what they did in Paradise and have all of our homeless, which is not near the population they had in Paradise, to be having some type of adequate housing with sanitary facilities, showers and toilets and everything, until we can give them the resources and things they need in order to get permanent housing.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Cortez?
Yes, thank you, Tanya. For this question, it's very multifaceted. And so I think on the broad level is always starting with changing the way that we're talking about the problem. And like I said in the beginning, changing our mindset of that the homeless community is a criminal, and stop criminalizing them, and moving it towards that framework. Of course, I truly believe that we must stop the sweepings of the homeless encampments that are being built in District 7 and all around of Oakland, only because it's not creating a solution. And that's what we're looking for. And so we need to stop trying to put band-aids on the problems that are in front of us. And the next thing there is that we need to start creating housing in Oakland that's for everyone. And by that, I mean when the housing does go up in Oakland, that it has percentages put aside for low-income residents to be able to obtain that housing. And so when we're talking about housing coming into Oakland, we have to always ask ourselves what kind of housing and for who. And so that's the biggest part of it, is making sure that there's enough supply for the demand that's needed. And of course, along with all of that, the solution is not going to be direct, and it's not going to be simple. But we do have to start advocating for the
Thank you,
homeless
Ms.
community,
Cortez.
like they're our community.
Thank you. Mr. Stevenson?
Yeah, the homeless conversation is really touching for me, because I lost my uncle 2 years ago from cancer. And so just thinking about the health issues that lie out there within these homeless encampments needs to be addressed as well. So just thinking about the medical situation and them being homeless, I would like to provide opportunities for jobs and creating jobs. So going out into the field and working with the homeless, you'll find a lot of engineers out there constructing and creating, being creators. So first, I would like to inspire and bring them up into that, while inviting them into other programs and other programming, housing programs. Thinking about our district, focusing on District 7, looking at the Coliseum project, this is a great opportunity to build housing and bring development into that corridor, because that will be the perfect opportunity for us as a community to build out those houses and build out those frames and blueprints of these apartments complex around the Coliseum, and bring in the homeless folks and make sure that they have the resources, make sure that they have jobs, make sure they have social workers that are there to going to support them from the beginning to the end of their transition.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Are we ready for the live field question, Mr. Alexander? Okay. For all of our candidates, what is your plan to address the sideshows? Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, that's been a hard situation to deal with. I think we have if you look on the other side of the Nimitz Freeway, there is a lot of land over there, and I would recommend that we do something, since seeing as how the youngsters like that sideshow show business so good. Why don't we make it legal? Why don't we make it right by putting it into an area where it's safe, where they can spin around and burn all the rubber off their tires if they like to do that, and just have all the fun they like to do, but make it safe, and make it, I mean, if it's something that they really care to do, instead of criminalizing it. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be an entertainment thing. Apparently, it's an entertainment thing for the ones who like it. I think it's dangerous, but they seem to love it. So we
Thank
don't,
you, Mr.
you know,
Jackson.
we can
Ms.
do better with
Cortez?
making things.
Thank you. This question, it's a really important question, right? Because it does happen primarily in District 7. In Sacramento, there's currently a movement around there as well, where there's a track and they host a huge event. It's an all-day event
Yeah, that's
where
what
the
I'm talking
track
about.
can
Yeah.
basically do races that are legal. There's also a donut area sectioned off for people that do want to swing their cars. They definitely can. It is all legal there. There's food trucks. You have to pay to get in, and there's basically what I'm trying to say is we can mimic something sort of what Sacramento is doing, and using all those funds to go towards infrastructure of our streets. Or we can have what we'll use for the money will be a different conversation. Basically, would legalize it, provide a safe space for them to do it. I personally own a Grand Cherokee SRT, and it is definitely a more powerful car. I am a car enthusiast, but I do believe that sideshows are dangerous, and so let's give our people an outlet to be able to put that into in perspective, right? Because it's not going to leave Oakland. It is a part of our community, and it's a part of how we get together. And so let's just give them an outlet to do it safely.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah, everybody, all the candidates raise a great point. Definitely, and I'm on board with that. Is finding a safe space, is not legalizing it, not wasting resources and stopping it. Car clubs has been a big thing since before I was a kid. My father was a part of a car club and had multiple cars and loved to swing all of his cars. So that's just something that I was growing up, grew up with in my within my culture, within my neighborhood, within my family. So yeah, just finding a space, and knowing that sideshows is dangerous, that we make sure that instead of legalizing it, that we have requirements for those who do want to come to the sideshow lot, and do sideshows and car races and such, and have members that pay a monthly fee, and again, all of those funds and revenues will go back into infrastructure of our streets and building more bike lanes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Next question is a statement and then a question. The state of California is in negotiation to lease 3 hotels on East Avenue to house the homeless, and the county will provide the services. As the next council member, how are you planning to engage with the state and the county on this issue?
I think it's a great idea. Oh, is it me? I'm sorry.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think it's a great idea. Those places are just about empty right now, and it would be a great solution for the homeless to have a nice place, decent place, hot water and heat, and that kind of thing. And if they're able to provide for them the kind of resources that they need to get back on their feet and to get jobs and to come back, and be able to get secure housing, I think it's a great idea. And I think the hotel people would like it because they're losing money right now with the hotels being empty. And I think it'd be a great idea to fill it up with the homeless people, and then the state or the county pay for it while they're in there, so we can get them, in a nice place, and then get them into some type of permanent housing, so they'll be able to live better than living on the street.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Cortez.
Thank you. For this question in particular, I do want to, as a city council member, you have to be critical about all the things that are being proposed on the table. Do I want hotels to provide housing for homeless people? Yes. But I would question, why do they all have to be on East Avenue? Why do they all have to be in District 7? Why can it not be spread out throughout Oakland? The reason why I'm saying this is because it sounds a little bit of history of redlining, right? Where you are designating certain areas for people to live in and not other areas. So I do agree that we should have our hotels help us with this homeless situation, but I would just be critical in asking why just on East Avenue. And so as a city council member, and if I were to be elected on November 3rd, that would be one of my first questions. Why not throughout Oakland? Why just on East Avenue?
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. What's really holding me is the duration time of how long they can be sheltered within these hotel rooms. Because if we know there's thousands of homeless people within East Oakland, just specifically within District 7, if we can get all of them into the motels, how long would they be there for? Like, what's the transitional rate? Like, what types of resources are they bringing? Like, are they bringing multiple social workers to help with social services? Are they going to help with job training, business incubators? Like, what are these looking like, and what is the age range that we're going to focus on? Because if we're looking at age ranges, what is the most vulnerable? And what's the process of getting into these motels is going to be a big question for me.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Now we're ready to go to the live field question. Please view the live video on your screen. This is a public safety question. On the path of travel, when our children walk to school on East Street between 98th Avenue and 105th, for over 15 years has been an unhealthy path of travel for the children that attend to Stonehurst Elementary School. From dog feces to dead animals to condoms, trailers, and tons of construction debris on the sidewalks and the streets. What are your plans to correct this that the last council member failed to do? Mr. Jackson.
We've already been working with a number of agencies cleaning up the streets already. I'm also the president and founder of the Men of Valor Academy, and we've been working with a couple of ABNI Foundry and also Argent Materials cleaning up the streets around G Street and 98 and to 85th over there. And so I would just move that operation over there. We were instrumental in cleaning up Railroad Avenue, and I would do the same thing for this street right here, and incorporate the neighborhood to help us. See, the neighbors going to have to help us even more. I mean, when you see situations like this and they're in the community, I mean, people see these things, we know what's going on, but once again, we're not making enough noise because some people got the snitch thing. They don't want to say anything, but then they want to complain about the way our community look. You can't have it both ways. If we're going to do something about the community, we're going to have to work together, and we're going to make sure that these things don't happen. If you look at 98 Railroad Avenue, just on the other side, looking down toward 85th. You'll see that place cleaned up, looking so nice and beautiful. We can do the same thing to this right here. We already have some paradigms that's already working. We're already doing it. And all we have to do is bring it to these streets that are looking like
Thank-
this. That's a shame.
Thank you.
We
Thank you,
shouldn't have
Mr.
that.
Jackson. Ms. Cortez.
Thank you. I would like to point out that this is the flatlands of Oakland, and you would never find anything like this in the Oakland Hills. And so I just want to make sure that whatever is being done in the Oakland Hills, it has to be replicated over to the Oakland Flatlands, because clearly it can be done. And so what I've noticed on the street, I live on 98th, like I lived in Brookfield my whole life, so I pass through this street all the time. And so what I've started to see things is a start of beautification process of it. Those artworks weren't always there. And so continuing doing things like that to show that the community does care. And so I see that trees have been planted there as well. I know trees have always been a way to try to not only distract people and make it seem more lively, more beautiful, quote unquote. And so part of it is to start a bigger campaign. I think the campaign that we currently have around illegal dumping, not only is it not strong enough, but it's also not focused for the flatlands too. So we need to strengthen that campaign and put in more, a campaign would come with policies on it as well. And so my dad is part of the Teamsters. Like I mentioned, he does pick up garbage. They do have a subset of workers that do help out with illegal dumping. So perhaps straightening that. If I were to be elected on November 3rd as your city council member, I would assure you that I'll have a continued campaign personally with me and my team to continue to clean up the street, because a lot of community members do it already. I do want to give shout outs to people in our community that do go out weekly or once a month to clean up the streets. And so I think there's a lot of issues that have to be addressed through illegal dumping, and particularly in the flatlands, like right here
Thank you,
on
Ms.
East
Cortez.
Street 105th.
Thank you, especially around schools. Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah, so every third Saturday, my organization partner with the Department of Transportation to do cleanups on 90th Ave. We bring in volunteers from multiple agencies. We brought out volunteers from different corporations, such as different corporations, to come out and help clean up. And that's something that I would like to do more, is bring out more volunteers, bring out a task team, create a task force team to go out and focus on the illegal dumping. In this neighborhood specifically, on this street specifically, it's all about the streets are really dark. And so brighten the streets up and bringing more lightning to the streets, as well as dropping off trash bins that can be picked up on a regular cycle, can be really impactful. With the strong task force, illegal dumping team, and high visibility within this corridor, in trash bins, I believe that could, within a long term and a constant rotation, that can help solve the problem. We can go door to door, knock on every community member's door, and get more volunteers that live within our community that can help with the task force and calling in and making reports of illegal dumping, such as this car right here. That we know the 311 isn't really reaching all of the population, and it's not really being super active. So finding something that's really focused on District 7 that can come out and focus on this issue, because this is everywhere and right next to a school. It really has to be a high visibility area full of bright lights.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah.
That concludes all of our questions for this forum today. Please proceed with your 2-minute closing statement. We'll start again with Mr. Jackson.
Yes, I'd just like to say that I solicit your votes for City Council, District 7. I believe that I have a lot of solutions. A lot of them we were already doing, and we're just doing them in different areas right now. There are a lot of groups that we've connected with. Axville Gospel Church has been a pillar in the city I've been pastoring 36 years. with the Exville Gospel Church. We have a ex-offender program. We have a OK Boys program with 289 boys, keeping them in school. So I'm a community person. I've been a community person, and all of you that know me know my reputation. I'm not talking about what I'm going to do. I'm depending on you knowing what I already do and what I already have done. And I think we'll be able to do more when you elect me as city council person for District 7.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Cortez?
Thank you. I do want to first state off that there's a lot of, we didn't touch on the coronavirus and the recent, all the resources that are out there right now for all of our District 7 community members. And so if you do need resources, go to my social media. We're going to start a campaign with all the resources that are available to all Oaklanders. So please take advantage of going over there. But I'm elected on November 3rd, 2020, city council member. I want to be there to be the person that is uplifting you and your voice, your family's voice, and your neighbor's voice. We need a new generation of leadership, frankly. And not only a new generation, but also we need to have someone that's going to carry out bold and progressive policies so that we don't have to continue to be living in a state where not only we're getting left behind, we're getting pushed out of our district. And so now it's time that we've been fighting our entire life, but we need someone on District 7 to continue that fight for us. And I'm the perfect person to do that for you. Again, my name is Esmeralda Cortez Rosales. And on November 3rd, please vote for me as your first choice so that we can continue this fight together in District 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Mr. Stevenson?
Yeah, as a longtime resident, again, second generation, I watched the city go from, majority black and brown to slowly being gentrified. There's a lot of solutions that us youth have, but we need more resources. Voting for me will bring more inspiration to the youth and the people in District 7. It's time for a change. It's time for a young face. It's time for fresh ideas and again, strong opinions and strong fights with the mayor to make sure that we are seeing the better end of what we've been lacking historically. This is an opportunity for change, and voting for me, you will definitely get change. So again, my name is Tyrone Stevenson, also known as Champ, Scripted by King. Vote for me as your District 7 council member November 3rd.
Thank you so much, everybody. Very exciting evening, very informative. We have 5 more forums coming up. Hopefully we can do them in an audience presentation, but if not, we will do them live stream again. Tonight, we were able to hear from our candidates. We expect more to enter the race. So take what you heard tonight, because you will be making a decision November 3rd, 2020, on who will be the next council member to represent you. For our next forum, please tune into Tumbleweed Media, because this is where the grassroots begin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our candidates and our viewers. From us, Maria and Angelica, we really appreciate your time. This is breaking ground. We're bringing you and bringing us to the comfort of our District 7 residents at home. So thank you so much. Have a blessed evening, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.